Welcome back. In the previous session, we just spoke about what a track sheet is and how it's used. What I want to do in this session is to show you how you can use the InVhestia model review tools to create a simple track sheet. And as you can remember, all we have to do is to have a file open, and we have a file open. We're going to be using the MAT start model SG02C. You should be able to access this file. And for our purposes, we're going to click on the InVhestia menu at the top here, and you're going to be going to the place where we have our create track sheet. And it's just as simple as that. And what we expect to happen once we click on that is that you will create for us a blank sheet, which is where we're going to be feeding in the different track elements to be able to track the changes in our financial model. So let's just do it to illustrate it properly. So as indicated, I will open the financial model that I'm using. Remember that the financial model needs to be fast compliant, and that means that it has to be prepared in these kind of columns that we're looking at here. So once you open your financial model, you're going to go to your InVhestia tools, and you click on that, and once you click on it, you'll just come here and click on create track. Then it will ask you, please confirm if you want to transfer a track sheet into this financial model. And so I'm going to click yes. And when I do that, the magic happens in the background. And once that is done, you will see that then what I end up with here is the simple track sheet. But this track sheet at the moment has not been filled in. And so what I'm going to be doing now is to really key in or to copy in the different variables that I want to be tracked. So let me just do that just for illustration's sake. The first thing I like doing when I'm using this tool is that I'll select these. I want to create some additional lines. I'm just going to select this and I'm going to copy that, and then I'm going to press Ctrl+Shift+, which is really just adding the number of columns. And I can do that once again, Ctrl+Shift+, sorry. Let me repeat that. I'll copy that again, Ctrl+Shift+. And by doing that, I've increased the number of lines. Now you'll see that I will not delete this line. I'll just leave it here just for our purposes. And so for me to create my track sheet, I have to decide which sheet I want to use. And I'm going to be using the FinStat KES sheet. And so then what I'm required to do at this point is just to copy these items here. I'm going to copy this and link them to that track sheet. So I'm going to copy that, Ctrl+C. And then I'll go to my track sheet, which is right at the end here. And I'm going to come in here and I'll just use line 13 here, Ctrl+Shift+Q. And if I do that, it's taking a bit of time, but it just copied that. The next thing I'm going to be doing after this is I'll just copy this to the right. I know there's some data that I do not need, but I'm going to change that in a second. Ctrl+R, and then I refresh the financial model at this point. And as you see, these items are blank. Now, what I need to do in this case is to come back, because I don't want these items to be blank. This is not what I want to be tracking. I want to be tracking these average items. And since my model is aligned, I'm just going to copy these in. So I'll just copy that, Ctrl+C. I'll go back to my track sheet, and starting from cell F13, I'll just press Ctrl+Shift+Q. And since it's aligned, I expect that things will fit right in. So let's give it a moment. And there you have it. And now if I sort of like refresh my financial model, it will show me there's a difference because I don't have any items here that I've already indicated. And so to be able to store these items, I'll just click on Save Track. And if I do that, it tells me what is a version of these. And so I'll say that this is a base case model. Best case version, or scenario. I click OK, and once I do that, what you expect to see is that I've just incorporated the base case version right there. Of course, the version 1 is not being used. I can delete this if I want to because it's not part of a financial model. So let me just delete that. I'll select that, Control-, and so I'm back. And so really at the moment, what I am doing is that I'm comparing my financial model to these existing items which are here. So let me show you why we need to have the track sheet. If, for instance, I go back to my input, and I'll go to my input S sheet in this case, and here we have the sales. We know what growth rate we have for the local sales growth rate and so forth. So it's 12% all through. Let's assume that I go for a worst case and I type in 5% and I copy that to the right, Ctrl+Shift+A, 5% in this case. What you expect to happen if I go back to my track sheet is that these numbers are going to change once I refresh my financial model. That the existing base case scenario, which was at 12%, is going to be this, but this is going to change. So let me just refresh the financial model to show you that. And if I refresh that, 1 second, let's give it a moment. There you go. You now see the changes. And here I could say I want to save these, and this should be, let me just save it first, then I can explain what I'm doing here. This is worst case, is local sales. And maybe I could just label this as 5%. So that someone who's looking at these, they're able to tell that what I am really talking about here is that the base case was what the financial model is at, which is 12%. Then I have the worst case. Let me just increase the size of these two columns, kind of. And there you have it. And so really, if I want to compare, in this case, my worst case and my base case, what I'll do is that what I've selected here at this point, what I have selected here is my existing financial model, which is using the worst case. So I want to compare that with the base case, which was the original financial model. And I refresh this Control Shift F9 on my side because I'm on manipulation mode. Let's give it a moment. There you see. So by changing the local sales growth rate, and here you can see it affects over the lifetime of the financial model you've created, the 5-year forecast that you've created, then we are seeing here that what's happening is that this is reducing, the local sales are reducing by 21% in this case. This is on average because what we have at that point, sorry, the total addition of the total sales have reduced by 14.29%. Of course, the export sales do not change because we've not altered that. But because of that, the items are changing all the way in my profit and loss statement. And if you look at my net profit is reducing by 8.21%. So I'm going to stop there. But I hope you've realized just how easy it is to create a track sheet using these InVhestia tool that is for creating track sheets. We've attached some additional videos if you want to walk through track sheets a bit more to understand how the process goes in terms of creating those, how they're used and so forth. So you can also interact with those items. Thank you very much, and looking forward to engage with you once you've purchased these InVhestia tools.